Hey there, everyone. Nicholas Dettmann here with another edition of the Dettmann Media Podcast, where we go over and discuss the latest in social media, digital, and email marketing, as well as website analytics and design as well. Glad you could join me today. Got a lot of really important topics to discuss. Really going to kind of center on email marketing and privacy with some of the things that we've been kind of talking about the last several weeks. It's going to be. I hope you enjoy the show here today. It's some really valuable information for you going forward. So, before we begin, just want to let you know, remind you that the Dettmann Media Podcast is brought to you by 5-Star Complete Asphalt Services in West Haven, Connecticut. They will take care of all of your asphalt, paving, seal coating, and crack filling needs in Southwest Connecticut and throughout the New England region. Visit them today at 5starcompleteasphaltservices.com, and that 5 is spelled out, or you can give them a call at 475-414-0125. Again, glad you could join me again here today on the Dettmann Media Podcast, and let's get right into it. So, much has been talked about in the last several weeks in terms of Apple's latest update. It's the iOS 15 update. In a blog posted on September 20th on Apple's website, Apple announced that it had made the update available for users and its customers. And according to Apple, in that blog/press release, quote, iOS 15 introduces new ways to stay connected, powerful updates that help users focus and explore, and intelligent features to get more done with the iPhone. FaceTime updates provide more natural video calls. Focus helps users reduce distraction. And new features like live text use on-device intelligence to surface useful information. Upgrades to maps provide brand new ways to navigate the world, and much more. iOS 15 is available today as a free software update. I have the full press release on my blog, which is nicholasdettmann.blogspot.com. Head on over there and check it out, and hopefully while you're there you can click on that subscribe link. So here are some of the highlights of the iOS 15 update by Apple: is the improved FaceTime calls as mentioned, as well as the improved messaging features, improved notifications, a redesigned browsing on Safari, and enhanced Apple Maps tools. The one new feature in this update that's garnered the most attention, though, at least from the marketing standpoint, and has kind of rubbed the idea of I thought of it maybe being a little bit controversial, is the updated privacy tools and features. Apple, as well as Google and other companies, as we've talked about previously, have invested lots of new resources to put the users in more control of their data, how it's being utilized and collected, and then how it's being really processed. For example, one of Apple's latest updates is the mail privacy protection, which, quote, prevents senders from learning whether an email has been opened and hides IP addresses so senders can't learn a user's location or use it to build a profile on them. We'll get into more on that in a little bit here. But some other things that were changed in terms of privacy enhancement include Siri. From Apple, it's, quote, Siri's protection of user privacy goes even further with on-device speech recognition, as users' audio requests are now processed entirely on device by default, enabling more personalization, offline requests, and faster performance. I've got a number of resources and links in my blog to really kind of help explain more of this in great detail. And again, that is at nicholasdettmann.blogspot.com. So let's kind of jump into some of that information we just passed along, with a little help from Litmus, an email marketing provider, marketing company, released a state of email analytics and privacy, and it has been often stated this year by, like I said, not just by myself, but many within the social media, digital, email marketing industry. Privacy and transparency is growing in demand among consumers. The challenge here from a marketing standpoint is, are we getting accurate data to better understand our efforts in marketing. And these latest changes here, while great for consumers, don't get me wrong there, and it's not one of those things where I think, oh, what are they doing? I mean, this is what you want as a consumer, but from a marketing standpoint, it's certainly going to make our jobs a lot more difficult. So what is the Apple Mail Privacy Protection? So according to its website on Apple, Mail Privacy Protection stops senders from using invisible pixels to collect information about a user. The feature helps users prevent senders from knowing when they open an email and masks their IP address so it can't be linked to other online activity or used to determine their location. Essentially, how it will work is users can opt into this offering, and they'll receive an email from you. When they do, their information will go into a proxy server that will cloud that information and make it invisible. After the process is done, the analytics will then be sent to you. It essentially is going to erase the open rate and really make the open rate, what's the word I'm looking for, really non-existent. I mean, it's a number that it's going to be very inflated going forward, because essentially kind of the way you think about it is Apple is going to trigger and open the email first, then put in its coding and its disguising coding, so therefore us as marketers on the other end can't tell who's opening it, and then Apple will send that email to the person. So what that will mean is our analytics is going to show that the email was opened even though the person we sent it to may not have actually opened it. So that's a pretty significant way to think about it, and that's really what the idea of the mail privacy protection is going to be. Again, it's really geared for consumers who have had concerns over a number of years about how their information is collected and what is done with that information after it's collected. So again, from the customer and consumer standpoint, it offers them to be an opportunity to be more in control of how their data and activity is tracked and stored. Supporters of this argue people who have access to this data are perceived as spying. From the marketing standpoint, it offers them really an opportunity to better understand their audiences and deliver more personalized experiences, such as more relevant ads. Thus, this is going to reduce unwanted ads, emails, and etc., and that's the key point made by those who support this stance. By eliminating that information, there's going to be concern among those people that they'll be, especially the users, are going to be more upset to receive emails or marketing messages that don't pertain or have little to no interest to them, even less so than maybe what they already have done in their past. So, and again, it's a fair argument on both sides. You can certainly see it, and I see it too, why you would want this from a consumer standpoint. Again, from a marketing standpoint, it's going to make for a lot of difficult decisions going forward. And Litmus, in its latest report, estimated that about 50% of people who opened an email within the last year did so through Apple Mail. So you're talking about a really large audience that utilizes this option, have the capability to essentially disguise whether they're opening emails or not. And it's really going to be tough for marketing to really make well-informed decisions, especially if when you start thinking money about it as well. So how do we adjust? I mean, there's a lot of ways to do that, but simply you're gonna have to adjust and rethink important metrics and consider metrics that you weren't really before. Like I mentioned before, the Mail Privacy Protection tool will essentially make email open rates irrelevant and highly inaccurate. For a while, that was maybe the number one or number two metric to understand an email success. Are people opening the email? Yes. I mean, that's what you want to do. You're trying to get the email and your message in front of people. But another important metric that is often used is utilizing send time optimization. That metric will now be rendered useless and inaccurate as well, because you're looking at the engagement of your subscriber base and when they're clicking on emails, and that kind of information is logged to generate reports for marketers. They're trying to understand and make the decision when's the best time to send an email based on previous engagements. One of the immediate steps you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do an audit of your email audience, and you're going to really have to start doing it now if you haven't already. Figure out who uses Apple Mail is definitely right at the top. And then figure who doesn't. And then creating new audience segments will be helpful too based off of that information. So separating the Apple users from others will give you comparable data. Personally, if one group shows data, the comparable data is not going to be too far off. It may not be exact, but it can give you an idea and an estimate. Some other steps that you can take are reevaluate how you measure engagement in your email. Suggestions may include your conversion rates, your mailing list growth or decline, or the click rate within the email. And from the number of webinars and trainings that I've gone through, the click rate within an email is definitely going to be more important than it was before. Click rate may have been like that number 3 or 4 metric to determine success in an email. Click rate, I think, is going to go to number 1, number 2. You're going to need to put a stronger emphasis on smart and catchy subject lines in preview text. A stronger emphasis on just the overall engagement within an email, again, such as clicks on links. Then simply just create a poll and simply ask your audience, what do you want to receive and how often? It certainly does not hurt to ask them that. You can get an idea of what people are looking for before they start taking advantage of the Apple Mail privacy changes. And that kind of leads into the last segment of the show here this afternoon or today, whichever way you're listening to it, and it has to do with understanding your email engagement. And you kind of have to really put a greater emphasis on your engagement, like I mentioned. Link clicks, conversions are really going to be very important going forward. So, kind of looking at that engagement, that's going to, like I said, that's going to be really important going forward. I think it's going to be the easiest way to understand how your email is performing. In short, the data in email marketing will be clouded, meaning not 100% accurate with these changes. So, therefore, understanding who is engaging with your email is again going to be important, and that's why the recent report by Litmus was perfectly timed for sure. And you can download that full report on my blog, nicholasdettmann.blogspot.com. Because the purpose of the report was to provide a benchmark based on billions of email opens, as well as offer insight about how people interacted with email within the last year or so. It's going to be a great resource to explore as we prepare for a clouded data future regarding emails and email marketing. I think this information, when I looked at the report, at least is going to give us a really good baseline of and foundation to what the state of email marketing is at this particular moment. And you can start to maybe try and think, okay, how you want to tackle some of these challenges are going to be coming up as more and more people start to download the Apple Mail Privacy Protection option going forward. So here are some of the highlights from the report. Again, users using Apple iPhone or Apple Mail accounted for 51.6% of the email opens in the last year. When you include Apple iPad, that's 1.4%. That comes out to 53% use Apple in some shape, way, or form to open their email. So you're talking more than half of the world's population use Apple for its email marketing or for its email open. I'll get it out eventually. To check and open email. Mobile devices count for more than 42% of these email opens, where desktops only account for 16%. Gmail is by far the most popular webmail client at 85%. And then more than 90% of people use Apple iPhone as an email mobile client. In the United States, the majority of emails that were opened were between 9 a.m. and noon, and the rate of those was 21.2%. And the average time spent to read an email is 10 seconds, which is down from 13 seconds just 3 years ago. So pretty significant baseline statistics there. I thought those were really good statistics to help you understand your email as it stands right now. And I think these are going to be very valuable resources for you going forward as you start to understand what potential changes and what your numbers are going to look like going forward as far as from an email standpoint. So I'll wrap up today's show. Really, again, thanks so much for listening. If you haven't already, go ahead and click subscribe to the podcast. And also head on over to the blog at nicholasdettmann.blogspot.com and click on subscribe if you don't already do so. Until next time, take care and be safe, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.